Hello, today we're going to be talking about making a case for a cause. What I'm going to talk about today is going to help you with your British Literature 2 assignment. We're talking about a very exciting time in history. In England, we had the Romantic period, and that is the time when people start realizing, oh, I'm human. Doesn't matter if I'm rich or poor, I should be given certain rights. And we're also seeing a time, as we're moving from the Romantic period into the Victorian era, that people are realizing there's discrepancies. Not everybody is being treated like they have basic human rights. And there are causes that are erupting from this milieu that are trying to address these problems. So what should you consider when you want to make a case for a cause? So first of all, you want to know what cause or issue you will be addressing. So once you know what cause or issue you're going to be addressing, you want to know what is your stance on that issue. How do you feel about it? What point do you want to make? Are you for it? Are you moderately for it? All the way for it? How do you feel about the issue? And what argument are you going to make about that cause or issue? Next, you want to think about who is your target audience. How can you convince your target audience to agree with you, and what action do you want your audience to take? So first of all, you want to look at what cause are you addressing. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a time when there's a lot of different issues at stake. We have child labor laws, we have women's rights to vote, we have women's right to own their own property, fair labor laws, and equal rights for homosexuals, and many more. So once you choose what cause you want to stand up for, be aware of your audience. Okay, so you're thinking about who can actually make a difference and actually carry out what I'm asking them to do. So most of all, you'll be addressing lawmakers because they're the ones that can change the way the laws are, the way things are, the status quo. You also may be addressing businessmen, or you may be talking to the leaders in society. So lawmakers, leaders, voters, businessmen in the Romantic and Victorian period in Great Britain. And these were mostly white, educated, from privileged families, male, middle-aged to older. So you want to think about your audience and how can I convince this type of person to do something about these problems that we see in society and in this time era. Okay? So how can we convince this audience to support a cause? We do it by using what's called the Aristotelian appeals. The Aristotelian appeals are called that because a person called Aristotle is the one who said these three tools are what you can use to convince an audience to support you or to agree with you. So these are logos, ethos, and pathos. Logos is facts, statistics, logical reasoning. It's the hard evidence. In a court case, this would be like the fingerprints or the fact that the person had a motive. So that's logical reasoning. The person had a motive to do it. They were in the right situation. It's logical that they could have done it. It could be the blood splatters. Anything that's a hard evidence that convinces the jury of the situation. For example, if you told a businessman that they could make more money statistically when they allow people to have more time off, that businessman will be listening to you and say, yes, I agree, I want to try that because that's going to be a benefit to me. The next thing is ethos. Ethos is all about credibility. With credibility, it means that your evidence comes from reliable, knowledgeable sources, and the writer or speaker has the knowledge, experience, and or credentials to address the topic. So if you're showing that you are using information that is reliable and knowledgeable about the topic that you are addressing, you will come across as more credible. And if you show that you've had experience or you have some knowledge in, maybe you've had some classes, you've studied some classes in this topic, or you've had experience Perhaps you're a woman who's had experience with being treated differently or not being treated fairly. In that case, you've had experience and you're knowledgeable and you have a little bit more credibility to address this topic. Lastly is pathos. Pathos is the appeal to the target audience's needs and desires. So you want to think about, knowing who your audience is, what is important to this particular audience? What public image do they want to convey? How will supporting your cause also benefit them? For example, if you're trying to convince them that women should have a right to vote, and you're trying to convince a man who wants their wife to be at home and they want to be the one that's the smart one in the family, then how can you show that that man is going to be smarter and look better in the eyes of society and be a better person all around if they allow women to have the right to vote? Finally, once you've appealed to the sense of logic, sense of credibility, and the sense that this is going to benefit your audience, you want to have a call to action. You want to get them motivated to do something. So that's what do you want your audience to do now? What is in your audience's power to do to make the change you are asking for? Do they need to vote? Do they need to write some legislation? Do we need to make petitions? What is it? Perhaps we need to propose a new law, lend public support for the cause, or maybe just show in your own lives that you support the cause by the way you act, as an example for others. Here's a little summary of what we just talked about. So when you're making a case to support a cause, first of all, you choose a cause and take a stance. You identify your target audience, and you target your argument to that specific audience. Next, you convince the audience with facts, statistics, logical reasoning, your credibility, and the credibility of your evidence, and by demonstrating how supporting the cause will benefit the audience in the long run. Then you'll have a call to action. What next step can they do now that you have convinced them? If you can do all of these things, you can make a strong case for supporting your cause. Thank you, and have a great day.